Happy Wednesday and welcome to episode 3 of the podcast, The Business of Life in Black and White, with the one and only Mr. Terrence Stevens. Good morning, sir.
That is my name, and real estate is my current game. So thank you for the introduction. Good morning, Mr. King.
Well played, well played. We discuss real estate, mortgage, and a bunch of other topics every week. Two of us both come from very different places and have very different perspectives, and yet we have a unique relationship where we hold each other accountable to a whole bunch of different things. So it's a fun conversation. So I want to go a little off script this week and do an unplanned topic because of what you are currently in the middle of, which is something that is near and dear to my heart. Which is also why you're broadcasting from a different location. So tell us what in the world you got going on.
Yeah, and I will be for the next 6 or so weeks. I am going through an interior renovation of my 1944 built home. Some of the original features in that home I have discovered by just ripping up walls and floors and things like that. So as I'm going through an interior renovation of my home, I am also going through an interior renovation of my life. And all things are just working in tandem right now. So it has been crazy. Some of that anxiety that I had last week, the week before, has leveled out. I am thankful to help people buy houses because when I need a place to stay, I can call on hundreds of people. So I'm thankfully in one of my past clients, beautiful, as you guys can see, home. And I will be here as a guest for the next month or so. So renovation, the world of renovation. Let's get into it.
Yep, I love it. And we can certainly go down the renovating your life path at some point in this, because I am not afraid to get personal and you aren't either. But let's start with the physical side of the house. So kind of where I wanted to start with this thing is the concept of when do I renovate my house? And when do I say screw it and go buy something new? And the timing of this, I think, is funny. Home Depot just announced their quarterly earnings and they're down. And there was a lot of commentary about the post-COVID stuff. You know, we all dove into home renovation seemingly during COVID, and all those guys made a crap ton of money, and now things have shifted a little bit. So I think it's funny that you're going through it. Let's start there. Tell everybody, actually, let's just start with you specifically. Why did you choose to renovate your house versus a conversation you and I had a dozen times about you buying something different?
Yeah, naturally, one of the things that I always tell my clients, and I have to live by my own words, is buy for your lifestyle, right? What I've always acknowledged is that your lifestyle has the opportunity to change, and in that, your space should change as well. The thing about me personally is my lifestyle has not changed. I have not gotten married. I have not had any new kids. I don't have any kids, but I have not
kids.
kid. I have not moved jobs, things that are drastic to the changes of your lifestyle. And so I had to take heed to my own advice. I didn't need to rebuy for my lifestyle because it has not taken any drastic changes. But what I needed to do was reimagine the space that I had. And one of the things that I've done in the past almost 6 years, can you believe it? Actually, in a week, it will be 6 years I'm in that house. One of the things that I've loved to do is host and have people come to me, parties, events, even little intimate dinners, things like that. And so for me, it was time to make that space more open, more light, more with more natural light, more airy. And I live in a 3-bedroom, 3-bath ranch. I didn't need more space. I just needed to reuse the space, recreate the space that I had. And so I did. I took my own advice and said, let's do this thing. Let's find the best way to do it, the best financial way to do it. And timing, I mean, it's never going to be the perfect timing, no matter where you're at. It's never going to be perfect, but you've got to plan it out, be strategic, and hit.
So what I hear you saying, I think, is, you know, if you've got a major change, if you're gonna change jobs or have some kids or got something, gaining a marriage, losing a marriage, those are times where
Those are
renovation
life,
is not
yeah,
going to solve your
those are
problems.
pivotal. Yeah,
Yeah.
those are pivotal moments. So I didn't experience any of those pivotal moments. Therefore, there was no reason to go make any large and drastic change.
Okay. All right. So the obvious question then from your expert real estate perspective is, what are you renovating and why?
Wow. Um, the main the main thing I wanted to do was create more space. You've been to my house several times. Create more livable space, more walkable space, more entertaining space in my kitchen, my living room, kitchen, and then the flow to my backyard, which I did during COVID, during that spike. And so there were some walls in the way. There were some things that were not being used as functionally as possible. And believe it or not, much of my house still had the original hardwood floors, which come to find out there was no subfloor under those hardwood floors. And so that too was something I needed to discover as I took up what was old and reimagine what could be new. So it was the main living space that I needed to really, again, reimagine and renovate. And I'm looking forward to it. It's a journey.
So what I love about you in general, and this conversation just brings that to light, the stupid emails that we all get from every normal real estate agent, which somebody who's not a real estate agent puts together, and they all send out the same one, says that if you're going to renovate, you need to renovate your kitchen and your master bathroom because that's where you get the most bang for your buck, and blah 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 blah. And yet you talk about designing your house for your lifestyle and for what you do. And I think people forget that your house is not just a monetary vehicle, right? It's not just about making the most money when you sell it. There's so much utility in the day-to-day usage of your house, and
Yeah.
people forget the value that is too, right?
I'm a big cooker. I love to cook. I love to cook. I love to make cocktails. I love to have friends over and have intimate conversations. And so one of the main things I wanted in my kitchen was an island. And so I missed that. I didn't have the amount of cabinet and counter space that I wanted. And now I am diving into having exactly what I wanted. And I'm even thinking about putting a skylight and vaulting my ceiling. So there's some different intricacies within the house that, again, yes, I'm driving up value. I live in an area where the value of my house has increased $300,000 since I bought it, right? And because of that, I was able to tap into a vehicle that I think we've talked about before, named a HELOC, and that's given me the ability to really drive this renovation. Most people will utilize a HELOC for renovations, right? Or paying off debt. And so I chose the renovation route, and I'm more than excited about it, especially where rates are today, where home prices are today. Could I put $100,000 into my home, or could I go spend $400,000 or $500,000 to go $400,000 or $500,000 more to go get what I wanted? And I think that becomes the give or take in the idea of renovations. How much is that thing that you want? And even if you went and bought something at a lower value, you're still having to go renovate. So in my case, I decided to stay right where I was and recreate the space that I had.
Yeah, love it. So as I thought about this topic, one of the things that comes to my mind is I personally, and that's what I want to ask you about. I personally am the kind of person who struggles with tackling a project, whether it be me, I'm the DIY guy. I love doing projects and renovating my own stuff, but I've also built, had docks built and had extra pieces of, extra house built on my property, all kinds of fun stuff. And when that happens, I tend to get distracted from my job and find it complicated to juggle, staying focused on my job while undergoing all these other stuff. And take it a step further, and I've said it to you before, you know, when my beautiful wife is mad at me, I'm not as good at my job. Like I have a hard time staying focused and you know, doing the things I'm supposed to do when I know that there's something hanging over my head. So obviously you've moved out of your house because of the size of the reno. How so, and it hasn't been going on too long, but how have you kind of managed that so far, even with the flexible job that you have?
And the preparation, the mental preparation, the strategic preparation. I didn't just jump in. This has been a couple of months in the making, honestly, a couple of years in the making, but a couple of months in the making of the design. And ultimately, I'm using a contractor who is a client of ours. Um, and I trust them. I trust him enough to know that I don't have to micromanage as I'm so used to doing. And frankly, I am doing my best to stay away because there's no major changes that can take place behind the plan that was created. And yes, you'll discover some things along the time. But to answer your question in whole, I've recommitted the next 6 to 8 weeks of my life to focus just on me yet again, right? And that is not my house. The focus on me is the idea of being consistent in the gym. The focus on me is the idea of producing video content like this and like other content that I'm doing daily to just give some perspective and relate it right back to my work, right? And so every day I'm talking about the concept of renovating life and renovating space. And I think by providing that content, it's educational, it's perspective driving. And I'm, at least if I do that on a daily, I'm feeding back into the community and people are interested. I've gotten so many people reach out and say, what's a HELOC? Who's the contractor you're using? I'm thinking about doing some renovations. Where do I start? And so I think just naturally, because this is my line of work and I'm not just renovating a house and then going to work in HR, right? I'm renovating a house and I work in real estate. And so the perspective I have ties right back into one another. And I knew that as I started this project. You and I talked on last week's episode. It was, how do these two things parallel one another, and how can I continue to focus on work? This is the most uncomfortable I've been in quite some time. So what I know about my discomfort is I'm always going to show up to the plate.
You mentioned preparation and then you broke it down into mental and strategic. And if we're being honest, because you know me pretty well, I mean, Amanda's the preparer in our family. I'm the shoot aim ready, or however that works, right? I'm not the preparer. I'm just the guy that can bail water out of the boat better than most people. So how do you, and you partially I think kind of answered the question, but how did you mentally prepare for being away from your house and being in a different environment with a suitcase and, you know, and again, still having to show up and be the super happy, super productive guy that you are?
Yeah. Mentally, there was a sense of, I had to embrace the anxiety, right? It was anxiety, just like any major change in your life. I had to embrace the anxiety instead of run away from it, right? In a lot of cases, we know these big changes are coming and we try to avoid them. We avoid them, we avoid them, we avoid them. I actually ran to it, right? I know it's coming. Here's what I need out of it. What do I want to see? What are the changes I need to see in my life in the next 8 weeks? What are the things I need to commit to in my life, such as something new like this you and I are doing, or the idea that because I'm in a new space that I don't have the comfort of being in my home office, which also means I don't have the comfort of going out of my home office and going making lunch and sitting on my porch. And I'm in a space that is uncomfortable because it is not mine. So mentally it says, do the things that you've avoided doing out of comfort. And so I think mentally it was just preparedness of knowing this is a new season for just a temporary moment. What can you do with this time that will be pivotal for the outcome? And this is no different than how I'm renovating my house. I have the choice of how I'm using the time, where the finishes are, what the selections are that are made, what is the product on the other side. I am just as much the product on the other side of this thing as the house will be.
So I'm going to ask this very selfishly, but I do think there's a lot of utility for other people too, and it's exactly along the lines of what you're saying. So I haven't told you this yet, but in July, Dominic, my son, for those of you who don't know, he's 16. He's got an opportunity to go to St. Petersburg, Florida, and spend 2 weeks working kind of under a mentor friend of ours who owns 4 different marine construction businesses. And Dominic will get to kind of work, paid work for him and his companies for 2 straight weeks. And as we kind of mold it over, Dominic's a great kid and he's a 16-year-old boy. So there's no way in hell we're going to let him go by himself. So I just this morning rented a VRBO for 2 weeks, and he and I are going to go together, and he's going to go off to work every day. And I'm going to be sitting in a space, and we're trying to do it on the cheap, so we're not on the beach, which is good. And part of what you said, right, is strategically, if I was near the beach, I'd never do what I'm supposed to do. So my question is, right, give me the strategic advice of how do I get myself in best position to be effective and efficient while I'm there for 2 weeks.
Taking it back to the basics, paper and pen, right? What does every day look like for you? What is that one thing, right? What are you doing? What is that one thing you're doing every day to ensure that you're in alignment with your goals, right? I think that from a strategic standpoint gives you structure. And then from there, give yourself grace. You're in a new space. It's different. You're not even going to be showering the same. I'm taking a shower right now and I want hotter water. My water is hot as hell at home, but I don't have control over somebody else's space. And so I have to do what I need to do to continue to adapt. And I think the second part is the adaptability. What are you doing to ensure that you're adapting to new space? Back to the basics. Paper and pen, writing it down, giving yourself a 2-week agenda, almost a plan of such. Make sure you're tackling your one thing every day so that you can feel accomplished. No matter what you didn't get done, if you get your one thing done, you've gotten to a better space. And then ultimately having conversations with yourself, check-ins, mental check-ins. Hey, if I'm uncomfortable, that's okay. What am I doing with this discomfort to produce a result? Right? I think sometimes, again, we run from these new changes, these new spaces, and sometimes we need a change. Sometimes we need to sleep in a new bed to appreciate what we have at home. Sometimes we need a different water pressure to appreciate the showers that we get to take. And ultimately, I think that's the biggest thing about change. Strategically speaking, embrace what's on the other side so you can appreciate what you have back at your own. And I think you taught me that years ago when we went to Haiti, and for the first time I'm out of the country and I'm living a life that is way different than I'm used to, but it gave me a certain level of appreciation for what I had back in America. And so I can appreciate the opposite as well as I can appreciate the parallel.
I love it. And you're gonna laugh when I give you my closing question here today, because of the irony of it all. So at the risk of you and I could do this all day, give us final thoughts. So we renovate when when there's maybe nothing big going on. We just want a little bit different lifestyle change, and we renovate not just for monetary value, but for lifestyle. And we take advantage of that opportunity to kind of hone in on some things personally. Give us kind of any final thoughts you've got on the whole thing.
Change is scary. Any change in your pocket is scary. Okay. But it always makes sense. And I love that play on words. Change always makes sense because we are creatures of habit. We live in space of habit. We live in space of comfort. We can do the same thing every day, right? But I've known myself to not even be the person who likes leftovers. I don't like eating the same thing the next day. And so what I'm realizing is how well I show up for myself and others in space of change. Do not run away from times where things are going to be different and the experiences are going to be much more uncomfortable than they have been before. Run towards it. Be able to peel back that layer of yourself. You gave me a concept last week of molting and picking off old feathers and recreating yourself. That's the type of change that we need to go through to become more strong and resolute through life. And so I think in this space, in the idea of renovating, do not run away from change, because it will always, always make sense to your life.
I love it. That's also a good segue. So here's I picked up a version of this last week, and I have been doing my own tweaked version, which is what I'm going to share. And I think you'll like it. So it's basically a very, very, very brief daily journal exercise that I have been doing every morning. And here's the concept. I'll let you start thinking about it. I'll tell you what it is, then I'll give you mine, and then give you a little bit of space, because you definitely didn't see this one coming. So the exercise is three things, short things. So number one is, what am I going to appreciate today? Number two is, what am I going to be intentional about today? And number three is, what am I going to accomplish today? Kind of a mixture. Tim Ferriss used to do something simple where he said, take out a note card and just write the three things you want to accomplish today. And that's all that matters. And you alluded to that with kind of do your one thing in the morning. So I've been doing this for a few days now. I really like it. My three for today were, I am going to appreciate my phone ringing. As a professional salesman, I make money when my phone rings, and yet human nature is sometimes I'm busy doing something and I feel bothered, or I have a client that is a little needier than I'd prefer they to be, and they call a little more than I would like, and I can find myself, if I'm not careful, kind of spiraling into that. Dang it, my phone's ringing again. So today I'm appreciating my phone ringing. My intentional act today was to see God's glory in all of the little things around me. Likewise, human nature, I can go through a day and not necessarily recognize, the beauty or the wonder or the just blessing of so many little things. So today I'm just trying to be very intentional about finding these little things that God is giving me that I need to be thankful for. And then accomplishment today, what I want to accomplish today is kind of conceptual, which is restraint. Being perfectly honest, my parents and my uncle and aunt have been here for a few days, and it was a long weekend, and I drank a whole bunch. And I enjoy my cocktails more than most people, and we ate a bunch of food, and whatever. And today I'm just gonna practice some restraint and make sure that I live a good, healthy life today, and take care of myself and not go too far down any one particular path. So that's where I'm at, and I've stalled as much as I can for you. So you're on the clock.
Wow. So what I'm going to appreciate, what I am appreciating, is being welcomed to somebody else's space.
Mm-hmm.
My friend, my client, I've known for 10 plus years. She made me a welcome basket to her house. And I don't know many friends that I can call that would put that type of thought into welcoming somebody to their space, especially when they live in their space alone. So I'm appreciating being welcomed to new space. I'm going to be very intentional about being outside and enjoying the sun. I'm going to take a bike ride today. I haven't gotten on my bike in maybe about a week and a half. I need some good cardio, and I'm able to bike from a new location today. So I pulled my bike here a couple of days ago, and I'm definitely going to get on it. Just as this is my kind of slower day from the gym and exercise, but today is a beautiful day, and I want to get on the bike. So I'm going to be intentional about doing that. And then an accomplishment. Ooh, that's a tough one. What am I going to accomplish today? I'm going to get on the phone and make calls to people that I need to touch base with and follow up and check on. Because as you said, my phone rings, I make money, but when I ring to other people, I create more relationships. I create a strength in the relationship. So I want to accomplish picking up the phone and connecting with people or reconnecting with people, so that I might just share something or be shared something that can help move my day and the rest of the week.
I love it when you say that you appreciate being welcomed like that. You remind me of this all the time. Not that you know it, but yeah, there's a biblical concept of refresh others and you too shall be refreshed. And
Yeah.
sometimes I have to be real intentional about that, but I can immediately see the kind of reward in that. And you are very, very good at that. And it doesn't surprise me at all that you are free of charge, spending time in someone's beautiful house, thanks to all the hospitality that you've always shown everybody. So
Yeah,
kudos to you, my friend.
And I appreciate that. That is one of the reasons I chose to renovate. Instead of, my space means a lot, not only to me, but to other people, including the very person's house I'm in right now. We've eaten, we've drank, we've laughed. And so why choose another space instead of just to reimagine what that space can be in the future? So yes, I welcome you to my space when it is new. And you and your family, as always, have nothing but welcome to my space.
Likewise, brother. Get your butt down here and let's do some fishing.
Let's do that. I'm ready for that. I've got time to do just that.
All right, my friend. Enjoy your week. We'll check back
Love.
in.
See you guys on the next episode.